Do you ever feel completely certain about something, only to discover you were missing the bigger picture? That moment when you realize your tight grip on an idea might have been the very thing blinding you to a better way forward. It's humbling, isn't it? Like the universe gently prying your fingers open to show you what you've been refusing to see. This is where Lao Tzu, the ancient sage of Taoism, offers us a surprising truth. Life works better when we stop forcing it. He said, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." At first, that might sound like mystical wordplay, but what if it's actually the most practical advice you've ever heard? You probably recognize that stubborn feeling of being right. The way we dig our heels in when someone challenges our beliefs, or how we cling to plans even when life is clearly nudging us in another direction. Many of us hold on to familiar ideas because they make us feel safe, in control. Remember when you realized a childhood belief wasn't quite true. Maybe you swore your teacher was out to get you, only to later understand they were pushing you to grow. Or perhaps you insisted a relationship was perfect, only to see the cracks once it ended. We've all been there, convincing ourselves we see clearly, while life patiently waits for us to loosen our grip. Lao Tzu's wisdom starts with a simple observation. The natural world doesn't force things. Rivers don't argue with the rocks in their path. They flow around them. Trees don't resist the wind. They bend and stay rooted. Yet humans, we exhaust ourselves trying to control outcomes, people, even our own emotions. Think about the last time you tried to force a solution, maybe pushing a project that wasn't working or demanding someone change. How did that go? Chances are it left you frustrated, tired, or further from what you actually wanted. Here's where Taoism flips our usual thinking. What if the effort itself is the problem? Not the disciplined effort of showing up, but the mental strain of insisting things must be a certain way. Lao Tzu teaches that there's a deeper intelligence at work in life, a flow or the Tao, and our attempts to dominate it only create friction. Imagine trying to swim upstream instead of letting the current carry you. It's not about giving up. It's about recognizing when you're working against the grain of life. You felt this tension before, that gut sense that something's off, even when your mind is full of reasons why you should keep pushing. Maybe it's a job that looks good on paper but drains your soul, or a goal you're pursuing because you think you should, not because it truly resonates. Lao Tzu would say that discomfort is your awareness bumping against the Tao, the natural way of things. The more you ignore it, the louder it gets. But the moment you relax your grip, something shifts. Solutions appear, relationships ease, opportunities you didn't plan for show up. This isn't about passive resignation, it's about active trust. Trust that life isn't against you. Trust that letting go of rigid expectations doesn't mean losing direction, but finding a wiser one. Think of the last time you released a worry and clarity suddenly came. Or when you stopped trying to impress someone and finally connected authentically. These aren't coincidences. They're glimpses of how life works when we align with its rhythm instead of fighting it. So why is this so hard? Because our minds love certainty. They crave the illusion of control. We tell ourselves that if we just plan enough, worry enough, or manipulate enough, we can avoid discomfort. But Lao Tzu whispers the quiet truth. True strength looks like flexibility. Real control feels like surrender. It's the paradox at the heart of Taoism. The more we try to grasp, the less we actually hold. This cracks open a new way of seeing the world. One we're holding on too tightly isn't just exhausting, it's what keeps us stuck. We all begin in the same place, where life feels simple and clear. Things make sense, and our reactions are automatic. If someone cuts us off in traffic, we honk. If a plan falls through, we grumble. It's straightforward, almost effortless. But this simplicity is fragile, because life doesn't stay that way. The first phase is like walking on a well-paved path. You know where you're going, and every step feels certain. You might be someone who resists change at first, preferring the comfort of what's familiar. Most of us do. We like knowing how things work, and we trust our knee-jerk reactions because they've gotten us this far. Then comes the confusing middle, where the path disappears. Maybe you lose a job, or a relationship shifts, or you realize the old ways of doing things aren't working anymore. Suddenly, nothing feels simple. Lao Tzu called this the uncarved block, the raw, unshaped state, where things seem chaotic, but are actually full of potential. It's uncomfortable though. You might feel uneasy, even frustrated, because the clarity you once had is gone. This is where most of us stumble. We try to force solutions, to grip tighter, to control what's happening. But Lao Tzu reminds us that water doesn't fight the rock, it flows around it. The tough middle phase isn't about forcing clarity. It's about learning to let the confusion exist without resisting it. You may catch yourself pausing before reacting lately. That's the first sign of the third phase, new clarity. It doesn't come from rushing or pushing, but from allowing things to unfold. Think of it like this: when you stop yelling, you start hearing. When you stop clinging, you start noticing what's actually there. This isn't some mystical idea, it's practical. Maybe you used to argue every time your partner left dishes in the sink, but now you take a breath and let it go. Or perhaps you've stopped obsessing over a mistake at work and instead see it as a chance to learn. The shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Lao Tzu's wisdom lies in the contrast between knee-jerk reactions and thoughtful responses. The knee-jerk reaction is like grabbing a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more slips through your fingers. A thoughtful response is like holding your hand open, letting the sand rest there without force. We start noticing how often we've been squeezing, how much energy we've wasted on control. And here's the thing, this isn't about being passive. It's about being active in a different way, choosing when to engage and when to step back. Most of us feel uneasy during transitions because they ask us to trust something we can't yet see. But that's where growth happens. The middle phase, as messy as it is where we shed old habits and discover new ways of being. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first you wobble, you overcorrect, you might even fall. But eventually you find balance without thinking about it. The same is true here. The discomfort of not knowing, of feeling unmoored, is what prepares us for the clarity on the other side. Through this discomfort, we begin to notice something shifting. It's subtle at first, like the faintest crack of light under a door. The things that once felt like immovable obstacles start to seem less solid. The worries that used to cling like shadows begin to loosen their grip. This isn't some grand overnight transformation. It's quieter than that. It's the slow unraveling of old patterns, the kind that used to feel like second nature, but now seem just a little too tight, a little too restrictive. You might catch yourself pausing mid-reaction, wondering why a situation that would have sent you spiraling last year now feels manageable. Or maybe you'll notice old frustrations don't bother them as much, not because you forced yourself to ignore them, but because they simply don't hold the same weight anymore. This is the Barnum effect in action, the way we start to recognize ourselves in the broad strokes of growth, realizing that the traits we once thought were fixed are far more flexible than we imagined. The journey to this point isn't linear. There are days when the old habits creep back in, when the discomfort feels sharper than ever. But even in those moments, there's a difference. Now, you're aware of it. You can see the pattern instead of being trapped inside it. That awareness is the first step towards something new, something lighter. It's like finally noticing you've been wearing shoes that pinch your feet for years, and realizing you can take them off any time. Together, we discover that freedom isn't about escaping discomfort, but learning to move through it with a little more grace. It's about recognizing that the tightness we've carried for so long isn't a permanent part of us. It's just something we've gotten used to. And when we let go, even just a little, the relief is palpable. You'll likely find daily decisions coming easier, not because the world has changed, but because you have. The same challenges might still arise, but your relationship to them shifts. This isn't about becoming someone entirely new. It's about returning to who you've always been, beneath the layers of expectation and habit. There's a quiet joy in that realization, a sense of coming home to yourself. The things that once felt like burdens start to feel like choices. The path that seemed unclear begins to reveal itself, not because it's been laid out for you, but because you've learned to trust your own steps. Many notice that the people and situations that used to drain their energy don't have the same hold anymore. It's not that you've built walls, it's that you've stopped building them around yourself. You've stopped confusing the familiar with the necessary. And in that space, there's room to breathe, to expand, to finally relax into the person you're becoming. Lao Tzu once described this kind of freedom with a simple, physical comparison. It's like finally taking off shoes that never quite fit. The relief is immediate, the lightness undeniable. You didn't realize how much they were holding you back until you let them go. And once you do, you wonder how you ever walked in them for so long. Together, we discover that growth isn't about reaching some distant finish line. It's about the small, daily moments of release, the times we choose ease over struggle, kindness over criticism, curiosity over fear. It's in those ordinary moments that the extraordinary happens. We begin to see that the freedom we've been searching for was never somewhere else. It was always here, waiting for us to notice, to loosen our grip, to take a deep breath and step forward, lighter, softer, and finally, unafraid.